A family that still hasn't accepted the tragic loss of their loved one, Atlanta rapper Bankroll Fresh, as they now go through a painful experience that serves as a reminder. Gunfire, fear, as several shots are fired into their home in the middle of the night. And inside the home at the time, Bankroll Fresh's mother and cousin, both alarmed by the sound of gunfire. According to police, someone drove by the home on Smith Street, firing 17 shots with a semi-automatic high-powered rifle, all into the front bedroom. The 24-year-old woman, who is the rapper's cousin, was grazed by bullets in her thigh and shoulder. She's recovering from the injuries. This is a family we've interviewed multiple times. A year ago, when a rapper who was friends with Bankroll Fresh was gunned down outside of a pizza shop. Young Mozzie's shooting still unsolved.
Him and Bank, great relationship. He actually like family.
We sat down with the family another time to do an in-depth look at how Bankroll Fresh's death impacted the local hip-hop scene in Atlanta and the legacy he left behind.
We never think music will bring this much harm towards us.
Right now, police haven't said if the shooting on Smith Street was a targeted shooting or if it was a random act. But here's a strong message Bankroll Fresh's father had to say about the urgency to stop the violence when we interviewed him a year ago.
You guys have one of the most powerful platforms right now. You can use it two ways, negative, positive.
Naima Abdullahi, 11 Alive News.
Well, begin noon, we're getting our first witness account of the shooting at a local home. We learned the home belongs to the mother of a murdered rapper. Channel 2's Audrey Washington is live on Smith Street in Southwest Atlanta. And Audrey, you spoke with family members.
That's right. A family member told me that the mother here is very concerned about her safety. But I just want to show you this window right here. Earlier, this window had 2 bullet holes. It was just removed. But also, take a look over on the side of this home here. You can see even more bullet holes over here. Now, thankfully, no one was killed, but Atlanta police tell me 2 people were inside the home here on Smith Street when someone with an assault rifle opened fire on the house overnight. One 24-year-old woman was grazed on the left thigh and on the left shoulder. She's expected to be okay. The other person, who police say is the mother of the late rapper Bankroll Fresh, was not hurt. Now, Bankroll Fresh, whose real name is Trentavious White, was killed during a shootout outside of a recording studio 2 years ago. I just spoke with a family member and asked if he thought this shooting was related to the shooting death of White. Here's what he had to say. Do you think this is in any way connected to what happened to Bankroll Fresh?
We can't say that. We can't say that. It'd probably be some more stuff. We don't know.
It was really loud because we're close, and like I guess the person must have been shooting like right here, and it was really loud.
Right now, police are searching for the shooter in this case. I'll have the latest on this investigation beginning all new at 4 on Channel 2 Action News. Right now, though, we are live here in Southwest Atlanta. Audrey Washington, Channel 2 Action News.
Start with breaking news this morning. A woman is hurt in a drive-by shooting, and now police are searching for the gunman. There's a lot going on with this story. So Good Day's Mark Teichner is live at Atlanta Police Headquarters right now. So Mark, police say the house belongs to the mother of murdered rapper Bankroll Fresh, right?
Well, that's right. And they say that the victim appears to be that cousin of that murdered rapper. At this point, though, they're not sure if that 2016 shooting death of Bankroll Fresh has anything to do with what happened late last night in Southwest Atlanta. So let's start with last night's shooting. It was about 11 o'clock when gunmen opened fire at a home in the 600 block of Smith Street. They sprayed about 17 rounds from a high-powered rifle into the house and ended up shooting a 24-year-old woman. She is the cousin of Bankroll Fresh, who was in a front bedroom. Now, she was hit in both the thigh and shoulder. The good news is she wasn't seriously injured. In fact, she didn't even have to go to the hospital, which police are telling us is miraculous given the strength of the weapon that was used and how many shots were fired at that house.
Those rounds penetrated the side of the house as well as the window, entered the bedroom. Some of them went beyond her bedroom and further into the house. That's when she sustained those 2 injuries. She was extremely fortunate that she did not get more severely hurt or killed.
At this point, police really don't have a lot of leads as to who might be responsible for this, not getting a lot of information from folks in the neighborhood, and they don't have, this being the people who lived in the house, any reason why the home would have been targeted. But they do believe that this house was in fact targeted. It was chosen for a reason. Coming up at 5, we'll have an awful lot more on the story. Make sure you tune in for that. But for now, that is the latest from APD headquarters in downtown. I'm Mark Teichner for Good Day Atlanta. Back to you.
All right, Mark, thank you. We will check back in with you. Meanwhile, after more than 2 years, Atlanta police are still trying to figure out who is responsible for the murder of Trentavious White. He is known as Bankroll Fresh. He was killed early in March of 2016 in a shootout outside Northwest Atlanta's Street Execs recording studio. Detectives say surveillance video shows White carrying an AK-47 and others in his group with guns drawn. Police say they were firing at people in a car across the street, and those people apparently were firing back.
New from overnight, someone fired more than a dozen shots into a house, injuring a woman. In fact, you can see evidence markers all over the street. Channel 2's Darren Moore is live outside police headquarters in downtown Atlanta. Darren, investigators said the mother of the late rapper Bankroll Fresh was also there inside the home.
Unfortunately, Linda, she was not hurt, but her niece did suffer bullet wounds to her shoulder and leg. And this morning, investigators over at police headquarters behind me are trying to find out who fired the shots and why. Atlanta police said late last night someone used an assault rifle and fired more than a dozen rounds inside a house on Smith Street.
Really a senseless act, complete disregard for human life.
2 bullets grazed a 24-year-old woman who was in a bedroom.
Very, very fortunate that she was not injured more severely or killed.
The victim's aunt was also inside the house.
She apparently is the mother of the late rapper Bankroll Fresh.
The 28-year-old rapper, whose name is Trentavious White, died when someone shot him 2 years ago outside his recording studio in Northwest Atlanta. Police will not speculate if the shooting last night had anything to do with his murder.
At this point, we don't know what the motive is. We don't know who the individuals are who fired the rounds.
And medics treated the victim. She will recover from her injuries, but we'll check in with Atlanta police throughout the day to see if they identified the shooter or a motive behind the shooting, and bring you any new information on Channel 2 Action News at noon and also at 4.
New this morning, Atlanta police are trying to track down who shot up a house overnight, injuring a woman. It happened right on Smith Street near Ralph David Abernathy Boulevard. CBS 46's Daniel Wilkerson's at police headquarters, where investigators are going over evidence collected at the scene. And Daniel, you have learned who owned that home. Good morning.
Yes. Good morning to you, Karen. Yeah, the home is owned by the mother of the late rapper, Atlanta rapper Bankroll Fresh. We've also learned that the woman who was injured in all of this, she is just 21 years old. More on her here in just a second, but let's go ahead and get you to video that we shot overnight of that home in Southwest Atlanta on Smith Street. We've learned that the late rapper's mother is okay, but he has a cousin, that 21-year-old who I spoke of, who was grazed by a bullet. She has injuries to her shoulder and leg. I'm told multiple shots were fired at the home. Police believe the person who did this used an assault rifle. Officers say that there were several adults at the home at the time. You may recall back in 2016, we brought you exclusive details when we covered the shooting death of that late rapper, Bankroll Fresh. Someone shot and killed him at a music studio. Now, back out here live, police do not have a motive in all of this. They are looking again for the person who did this. Of course, if you have information, you're asked to call Crime Stoppers. That number this morning, 404-577-TIPS. We're live outside